We're now going to construct a centre bridle joint, and the tools we will use are as follows: a mallet, a steel rule, a steel tape, a combination gauge, a tenon saw, and a set of beveled edge chisels, and also what is just off screen, a Mortise chisel. This is our drawing which we're working from, giving us the dimensions and the sizes. We select two pieces of timber and we place our face side and face edge marks on. We find the centre of this and we work that out at 71 millimeters. This places our joint in the centre. We now measure the width of our timber, which is 44, so we come in 22 millimeters from that centre point. We now draw a line across the face of the timber to show where the outside of this joint is coming. We place the timber on and we must make sure that this is nice and tight because the bridle joint has got to fit on both sides. Stock of the square on the face edge, square the line over, and we're going to square these lines all the way around using the face side and the face edge for the stock of the square to sit on. This ensures that the lines will meet up even if the timber is out of parallel. We now set out our other piece of timber for the joint and we mark in the width of timber, which is 44, and we square that line across. Now this needs to be on both edges, but we don't necessarily need it all the way around, because it is the centre portion of this which will be removed shortly. We're now setting our mortise gauge up and we alter the points so that the 2 points are just the width of the chisel away, right at the points, not at the base. This is then set up so it's in the middle, and we usually just guess it like we're doing in the drawing, in the picture, and we check it from the other side and we alter it so that the points come in between those 2 bits. Now we've set the gauge up using the face side of the timber. We're going to gauge in between the lines which we have put on. Note, by pressing the points in, we can actually gauge into the points and it saves the gauge sliding past the line which we are working to. Push the points in again and down. And again we can highlight that with a pencil so that the gauge lines stand out that bit more and are easier to see. Into the vise, and we're going to remove the 2 outside parts of this joint, leaving the middle portion in. So we draw the saw back 3 times again using the thumb as a guide, and once we've made a start we move the hand out of the way as we draw the saw along the line. You keep your hands away from the saw to avoid the saw jumping out and cutting them. Same at the other side, and that is now ready for chiselling out. Repeat the process on the other side of the timber. We've got to work very closely to our lines this time because both sides have got to fit the housing joint. We now chisel it out in the way that we have done before, in the vise, and we take a V out from both sides, using quite a wide chisel, the wrong way up, so to speak. By doing this, it means that we won't have breakout on the other side. When we've done one side, we turn it around, go in from the other, and now we've removed the other piece of timber, it's less likely to break away. To the centre again, and then remove the little triangle in the middle. And we chisel this off. Now we've turned the chisel the right way up. We chisel it off until we level the housing out so it's perfectly straight, or just slightly, very slightly dipped in the middle. This means that the two edges of the joint will fit and won't try to force the yoke part apart. Now just levelling out the housing on this side. Again, it wants to be either perfectly level or just slightly dipped in the centre portion. Repeat the process on the reverse side of the joint. Once again, we level off the bottom of the housing, making sure there's no little bits of timber remaining in the corner of the joint. Note, both hands are always well behind the chisel, keeping away from the sharp edge. And we see we've got the centre portion in there, ready to cut the yoke part. Now we're gauging that with the same gauge which is still set up, gauging over the top. And again, this process is made easier if it goes in the vise. On this occasion, it's easy to pick up with the camera so that you can see what is actually happening. Once again, over the top. And we can highlight the gauge lines with the pencil to show where we are going to cut to. It would also be a good idea to hatch in the middle portion, just as a little reminder which piece is coming out. We now place two little tracks along the top there and make sure that we're cutting in the waste part of the timber just along the line for about 6mm deep. Do the same on the other side, and we angle the timber over And keeping the saw in the 2 tracks that we've just done, we cut down on the angle till we reach the pencil line where the bottom of the joint is. We do that on both sides and then turn it round. Repeat the action and then remove the triangle that's left in the middle. Here we are removing the triangular bit that's left, but we've got a saw cut on each side for the saw to run down so that it keeps it straight. The saw follows the least line of resistance. And we have a nice straight cut on both sides. Now we're going to remove it out, and here we can see the Mortise chisel. Got a slightly thicker blade than the beveled edge, and it's a little bit stronger. And we're going to start cutting away at the centre portion. We can also chisel this out straight from the bottom to start with, but we must remember to cut a little V out to allow the chisel to go up, and then it won't go past the line. Again, make sure that we don't go all the way through, so we avoid breakout on the opposite side. Very careful as we get up to the line in order to keep our joint on track. I'm just breaking the centre portion out now. And the bottom of this housing needs to be either level or just slightly dipped. Just cleaning out the bottom of the hole here now. And we can see we're just going slightly downhill. And now we put the 2 pieces together, and we see that we've formed a centre bridle joint, or a T-bridle as we also know it.